So thanks everyone for coming out today. We really appreciate it. I'm Carrie McCulley, Deputy Director at Civil Justice, and this is our quarterly Maryland Justice Passport meeting. So thank you all for taking the time to join us so we could share with you some of the new changes or progress that we've made in this project, and get feedback and hear your comments and input, because that is really key to making this continuing to make this a successful tool for people to use. I'm just going to go over the agenda today. Thanks. So just so you have an idea of what we're going to be talking about. So first, we're going to review the program goals, because I know we have a few new people to the call, just to give everybody the same background. We're going to go over the passports that have been created so far, because people are using this and it's so very exciting. We are also getting some litigant feedback we wanted to share with everyone as well, because we do feel as if that is so key to this project. Then we're going to go over the new partner onboarding guide, just to share with everyone so they have an understanding of what the process is to get involved with the passport, and how to start using it. We'll go over our new collaboration with the Consumer Protection Project. And then we've expanded the pilot to Baltimore City, which we'll discuss. And then last but not least, we'll go over Q's and A's. So with that, I'm going to toss it over to Sarah to go over the program goals.
Okay, since we have new folks, and just as a reminder, the purpose of the passport is to develop a trauma-informed technology to help people navigate legal services referrals and also resources that are out there. In the Maryland community, we have a really diverse group of organizations, and it can be a challenge sometimes for litigants to remember where they've been, who they've talked to, who they're supposed to follow up with. So in its iteration right now, the passport provides litigants with a case summary, which can be developed by the legal services organizations. You can do an electronic to-do list to give to your the person you're assisting, and you can also set up referrals to other legal services providers. For example, your organization, let's just say they're over income for free legal help, and you may want to refer them to civil justice. You can include those referrals in the litigant's passport. And finally, it gives a secure way for litigants to store important paperwork, documents, photos. We've probably all been in the situation that Lonnie likes to mention with the big bags of paper and it's overflowing. So it's a secure place to help litigants get organized and store their files. Yeah, so that's it. You're muted, Joseph.
Epic fail. Okay, so now I will talk about, let's see here. There we go. Talk about the passports that have been created. So far, we have created 38 passports, and that is with the Maryland Center for Legal Assistance and with our partners at, Community Legal Services of Prince George's County, right? There we go. So, and civil justice as well. And 20 litigants have logged in. So they're finding it valuable where they're going in, looking at this information and taking action. In most of the projects that we've worked on in the access to justice space, usually it's less than 50% actually will use that new technology. So we're very enthused that over 50% of the people that we create these for are going in and utilizing it. Next, litigant feedback. So we call litigants and ask them what they need. Was this helpful? Were they able to log in? Any technical issues? So, and here's some of the things they've said. One here, I'm going to collect all my documents first and then put them in there. Okay, so the litigants, oftentimes they understand the importance of this and that this is a good place to store all their information related to their case. Next thing, a person said, I need to keep this thing updated like a secretary. So this particular gentleman understood that there are a lot of documents and things going on. And he said, every time I make a phone call or I do something on this, I'm going to make a note in the passport. So that was music to our ears. And then the next one here, which is, I think, there are a number of people that have said something to this extent, is I had the information, I just haven't logged in yet. So about, little less than 50% haven't logged in. And so when we contact them and ask, they say, oh, I had the information I need, I just haven't logged in yet, which to me in this project is awesome, because what we're hearing over and over is that people have the information they need. So they're not saying, well, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. They essentially are saying like, well, I have what I need when I'm ready to take next steps and apply for legal aid or take the next steps in the tasks that have been given to me, I can do that. Okay, and just a reminder of what the passport includes. Sarah mentioned this, so now you can see it visually, the case summary, tasks, referrals, legal information. So this right here is their dashboard where they can see all those things at once, and then they click into it to see that particular information. And this is from the web view. There's also, of course, it works, it's mobile friendly, and there's a mobile app too, and it all syncs. Okay, next we'll talk about a new partner onboarding guide. So we've made a major upgrade, went from a Google Doc to an actual really nice looking document. So I'll show you that here. One moment. Okay, are you able to see this partner guide?
No.
Yes? No, what do you see?
No.
It's not good. Okay. What did you see?
I
Saw your grid
every-
again.
Okay, so if I share this, where, same thing where it's not showing it?
Now we're good.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's just a lag to it. Okay. So we have this new partner guide, 8 pages, graphical, and it walks people through the process of being a partner and what to do. So when the passport is a good solution for them, what's included in it, how to set up a new passport, and it goes through each step with screenshots. And then we also have information about how to update an existing passport. So we'll be sharing this with the group and also adding it to the website. Now let me see if I can go back to, okay, is that working or it goes back to the slides?
We're back to the slides. I think you're right that we're just having a lag.
Okay, excellent. Okay, now I'm going to hand it back to Sarah and then Lonnie to talk about the Consumer Protection Project collaboration.
Hey, quick question. Is the term partner the client or other legal services providers?
Other legal services providers.
And soon to be social services providers.
Yeah.
So if you're not a partner, you don't get the referral even if they're in your region?
Well, so the way, yeah, I can try to clarify that. So you, like, anybody can get referrals. So for example, in people's passports, it could say contact Maryland Legal Aid or contact MVLS. So it's you don't have to be a partner to have people, the partners using the passport to put in those organizations. Now, to actually set up a passport, that's where you need to be a partner because you have to be trained on how to do that. And that's what the onboarding guide is for, is to train people how to set up passports. Does that clarify things?
Okay, sure. So basically you're hopefully listing all the legal services providers in the state of Maryland and social services agencies and other agencies, whether we're partners or whether we're signing people up for the passport or not. So you're listing everybody.
No.
Not yet, Sandy. But the reason we're not listing everyone yet is because we started initially as a pilot in Prince George's County, keeping it kind of small-ish to try to work out bugs, feedback, etc. We've recently, and we'll discuss this a little bit, we've recently expanded to Baltimore City. So if we've got other organizations, say over on the shore, that wouldn't necessarily be using this just yet, we wouldn't have added all those other different legal service providers in just yet. But as it expands, then we'll be doing that. Does that, I'm sorry, does that answer your question?
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm understanding if clients are seeking help, regardless if they come to you or somehow end up there without a passport, but they need help. Like if somebody goes to the MLSC website, all the legal services providers are listed, like Pro Bono Resource Center, like People's Law Library, where everybody's listed.
Mm-hmm.
So just to
No.
avoid, I'm just wondering if you guys are just a resource or if it's just only for passport holders.
So
Is that make sense? Am I making, like, does that make sense?
yeah, not every legal services provider is on that website. So a couple of the partners that we've brought on are non-MLSC funded organizations. ROAR, who we'll get to later, is non-MLSC funded. Civil Justice is non-MLSC funded. So yes, we have been utilizing the MLSC website, but it's not complete. It's not the whole community.
Right.
So,
And I was just using that as an example. Like we try to, when we give out a resource to anybody, we try to list everybody, regardless if they're MLSC. I was just using that as an example.
yeah, so the important thing in developing this project is that if we're creating passports for an organization as a referral source, then that referral source needs to understand what a passport is. So for example, we're going to go into the Consumer Protection Project collaboration that's coming up. Before launching that, you have a conversation with everybody who's going to be getting referrals so that when someone says, I have a passport, they know what that means and it's effective for the litigant to do the referral. So I think with the conversation around, are we listing all of the service providers? No, because we are jurisdictionally limited and we are talking with the service providers about who do you provide referrals to? And so we are working with the legal services providers to really curate a list of common referral sources.
This is Pam. Sarah, isn't it the case that ultimately the goal would be to have any provider who wants to participate to be in this family of programs that are using the passports and receiving referrals through them? I just wanted to ask a clarifying question though. You do have to be a partner you have to be a partner organization in order to view the content of someone's passport if you receive a referral.
That is up to the litigant. So for example, if I'm a self-represented litigant and Civil Justice sets up a passport for me, I could share it with anyone.
DJ says, we're setting this up for you, but we can't handle your case. We're going to refer you to this other organization. Take this, your passport will follow you. You can share this with the next provider. Does the next provider have to be a partner for them to see the content?
No.
Yeah. There's it. Okay.
Yeah. So if
Thanks, Pam.
We still going here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody seems like it froze up a little bit, but.
Okay, so the Consumer Protection Project is a project well, Lonnie, maybe it's more appropriate for you to give the overview of the project since you supervise it.
I don't supervise the project, but it is a judiciary funded program. How's that for you? So I'll give a little overview of the Consumer Protection Project, and then I guess you can chime in with how this intersects with the passport. Does that work?
Yeah.
So the Consumer Protection Project, or CPP, is a judiciary-funded program that's operated by MVLS and PBRC, two nonprofit legal services providers. And these two organizations recruit and train pro bono attorneys who provide day-of-court representation to consumers in debt collection matters in two jurisdictions, Baltimore City and Prince George's County. Last fiscal year, this program provided representation to 664 consumers, which is huge. Most consumers that they serve have a very low household income. Many of these folks are collection proof. And in the spring, and then again more recently with the pandemic, the court has postponed hearing consumer debt collection matters because of the pandemic. And so both of these organizations have the capacity and the volunteers to continue providing these services. But since they're not able to be on site in the court right now, they really needed a way to connect with those consumers. So the Maryland Court Self-Help Center, which is our remote services center, is still open, and they're providing self-help via phone calls and chats right now. And they're still getting lots of calls and chats from consumers in need of legal help with these debt collection matters. And so, you know, we kind of got thinking about how we could connect programs that have capacity to do more than the self-help center with the people that need it. And a lot of times after a consumer will get, you know, initial brief advice from the help center, they need something more, right? They might need help settling a case, or they might have no defense and, you know, they really want to pay and they need somebody to negotiate a settlement for them. They may be collection proof and they may need help letting the creditor know that there's no point in coming after them because they're not able to pay. In other cases, programs might recommend that the person file for bankruptcy, or there might be other cases that the litigant needs help with. And so after that initial brief advice, the help centers provide a lot of referrals to another organization for further help. And this is kind of where things start to go awry. The litigant may not understand what collection proof means. They may be confused about what to do next, and they may need help contacting plaintiff's counsel and trying to either get the case dismissed, or if they do want to pay, getting somebody on the phone to try to settle is a nightmare, even sometimes for attorneys, for those of you guys who have tried to do that. And so when litigants get to the next organization, they may not know exactly what they need to do next. And so the Justice Passport can really help make this referral more seamless by providing a place for litigants to upload and store case information, like maybe proof of SSI income, or a bank statement showing that the only money that's in there is protected funds. And they may also need help knowing where to go next. This is where the electronic to-do list comes in. So the help center may say, file a notice of intention to defend, gather up whatever your proof of income is, any other debt collection cases that you have pending, and then call the Consumer Protection Project for help. And so the passport really helps people get organized and helps the organizations on the other end, because it's easier for them to pick up these cases when they know why the litigant was referred to them in the first place. So the attorney could jot in some notes that says, you know, the litigant's a senior, collection proof, needs help contacting the creditor and requesting a dismissal. The provider can include as much or as little information as is available to them when they set up the passport. Oh, nice, you did a flow chart.
Perfect.
Yeah. Do you want to explain? Am I going on too far?
No, you should, if you or Sarah want to go through this, that'd be great.
Yeah, go
No,
ahead, Sarah.
we created this a few minutes ago. We thought the visual would be helpful. So since you were getting to that, we shared it.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk through it.
Sure. So the litigant now, you know, in normal times, they might walk into a help center and they may have documents with them. And in that case, the help center staff could help them scan that stuff and get it into the passport. But right now they could call in or live chat, and the attorney would identify their case as one that needs, you know, additional services. The attorneys can help them set up a passport and then make the referral to the Consumer Protection Project.
Right. So how we have it set up, or how Pro Bono Resource Center and Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service agreed to the flow of the cases, is that MVLS will already has a existing phone line where they will take the referral, and then Pro Bono Resource Center and Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service will work together to assign who's going to assist the partner. I'm sorry, the litigant. Dave had a question. I saw it. Does that mean that all MCLA volunteers will be able to create passports? That's probably a question that's best for Emily, but I don't want to put her on the spot.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm here. I have my camera and microphone muted because being at home with the kids is not great for a meeting. So we hadn't anticipated volunteers, pro bono attorneys setting up the passports. We've just finished training all of our staff attorneys. And if we have volunteers that we feel are capable of learning an additional new technology that they could, layer in as part of the service, then I'd be happy to do that. But not every volunteer is going to be ready to do it right away. They have to learn the phone system first or the chat system. And then just get to a level where they're comfortable at least managing that, and then they can take that next step to being able to set up a passport.
Well, thanks. I was just looking at the flow chart and imagining the possibilities. If a call came to a volunteer that might be appropriate for a passport, at this point, I mean, this is all brand new. So at this point, it might just skip that step for now until that person gets trained or whatever, or would it be actively routed to somebody who would do it? I just out of curiosity.
If the volunteer's at a point where they can identify that is a case that is appropriate for referral, then they're probably at the level where they could set up a passport, but it would just be a matter of training them on how to do that, which I think needs to come after they get familiar with how to use the phone system and everything that goes along with that.
But for now, the bulk of the services provided by the Help Center are staff attorneys, correct, Emily?
Yeah, we are very quickly piling up new volunteers, but it is right now, the majority is staff attorneys.
So I believe we are hopeful to launch this on Monday. We are working up a canned chat so that attorneys on the live chat service can easily push the information about the passport. So yeah, I think we're gonna get started on Monday if all things come together, right, Emily?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So that is the Consumer Protection Project update, and thanks to MCLA and PBRC and MVLS and the judiciary for pulling that together. I think it'll be a great collaboration.
And Sarah, it's just because these programs were geographically specific pre-COVID. Are we just talking about referrals for Baltimore City and Prince George's for this particular part of the pilot?
Yes, we have the passport project set up for Prince George's and Baltimore City right now, because that's kind of organically where partners came from. And then it just happened to match, Lonnie might have additional information, but it happened to match with where the Consumer Protection Project also has programming.
I just wanted to say, yeah, the stars really aligned. Like the universe threw us a bone on this one, even with COVID right now, with the courts going back to phase 2, which of course is not ideal, but it's freed up the Help Center to have some additional time to do staff training. And then the Consumer Protection Project not able to be, on site, but still having capacity. So we just, I guess, got really lucky for the timing, and we're excited that we could kind of throw this together quickly and get started on Monday.
Great. Okay, Joseph.
Yes. Okay, Sarah, you want to talk about Baltimore City?
Sure. So we started with a pilot in Prince George's County, working together with the Self-Help Center there, as well as Community Legal Services. And through one of our stakeholder meetings, the Roar Center expressed interest. Roar really serves, and Laurel, I think, is on, really serves victims of crime, and they offer both social services as well as legal services. Laurel, do you want to share a little bit about what Roar does?
Sure, I can. And this brings up a question I had too. that really what you described is it. We provide, try and have a one-stop shop for survivors of all types of crime in Baltimore City to receive legal services. I'm a case manager, social worker. We also have a therapist, and we also have a nurse care manager to kind of have all needs met, ideally in one place. Eligibility requirements are at this point really that you live in Baltimore City and are a survivor of some type of crime. The vast majority of our clients are either folks who have been non-fatally shot or domestic violence, IPV. That said, the good, we're relatively new. We've only been around for a little over a year, but the word is definitely out about us to the point that we are now completely at capacity and are no longer taking any new clients foreseeably through the new year. To be perfectly honest, I can't imagine we'll start picking folks up before February, which leads to a question that's kind of nice for this whole program. In this kind of network of providers, will it be indicated somewhere that yes, ROAR exists, but don't refer right now because we're not accepting anybody?
That is a great question. In its current, I should let Joseph know, but those are the kinds of feedback that we need so that we can develop a useful tool. Joseph, do you want to?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, if you just let us know and I can do that, I can just remove that from an option for referrals. So, and then I can, when we communicate with our partners, we can say that if you don't see a typical partner listed, it may be because they're not accepting more referrals at this time because of capacity constraints. So we can.
Is there a way to automate that?
Very easy. Pardon me?
Sorry, is there a way to automate that?
There is, yeah. I mean, we could have a partner just click on something, and then I can automate the process where it automatically removes them from the listing.
I just feel like that happens often with legal services providers, right? Either they're at capacity or their intake hours change, or their case priorities change. They get a new funding stream, so now they're accepting a different kind of case that they weren't, doing before. It might be nice to be able to try to streamline that process. I know that's a challenge for everybody, including MLSC, when they list, providers on their website.
Yeah. If that's something that will be common, we can set that up so that it automatically adds, if they're available, removes their listing.
Would it be a better idea to actually just gray it out if they're not available so people know that these are resources, but just grayed out means not accepting new cases?
Yeah, we can do that.
And another thing I'd like to add on to that is just that if there is an end date in mind, like if they know that they're not going to take anybody, but they will begin again on a certain day, to have that date listed. That way people will know that it's, on the horizon, but it's not at the moment available.
That sounds great.
Okay. I'll just quickly cover other organizations that we're working with. ROAR, I think, receives a good number of referrals from the House of Ruth in Baltimore City. And so we've been in touch with House of Ruth and spoken with their supervising attorney to see if we can coordinate referrals between those two organizations. Another thing that we're looking at, as we know that a foreclosure crisis is looming, is that we work a fair amount with Consumer Credit Counseling Services, who is a nonprofit providing, credit counseling services, budgeting help, housing counseling, and we are getting set to train their staff on using the Passport. Their clients, or the people they serve, tend to be over income for MLSC services. So that will probably be a natural fit, for example, back and forth with civil justice. Civil justice can send folks to them. So it's also, yeah. So that's when we're setting up for early in January to onboard consumer credit counseling. That's it for me.
Okay, and this is a good time to talk about partner experience. I like this. So we didn't have this on the agenda, but it's a good thing to talk about, and also very organic and authentic here. So we do have a few partners that have been setting up passports. So maybe Emily and Terry, I think you're the two that have been doing it so far. If you would talk about what your experience has been, what's it like to set it up, to talk to litigants, I think that'd be good for everybody here.
I'll let Terry field that one.
Sure. Yeah, and this was something, just thinking about this, I think it would be helpful to hear from organizations or from you about anecdotes about when this has been useful for litigants, because we only see the front end of it. So it's sometimes hard to conceptualize how this is eventually going to help the litigant. So if we could, I was going through with all the staff, or most of the staff, yesterday and the day before about training them on how to do this. And I think one thing that would be helpful would be, how do we get the, or when is this a good time, or when is it a good a time to refer somebody to the passport? And if we had examples of when it was useful for somebody that actually used it, that would make it easier for me to explain why we're actually doing this. And then that'll,
we have a lot of feedback we can share.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when we're actually in person, because I think that document feature is going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
I see so many people that come in, they just have some people even have like things they cart around with them, just full of documents. Yeah, and if we can get, then that'll make more sense for the litigant. When I've explained it to litigants, some people aren't totally sure what exactly it is we're offering, and maybe that's on me, just because what I was talking about earlier. But I think, once you explain to them that you're not signing them up for a credit card, there's no financial obligation here. It's there to help them. And emailing you the other day, Joseph, to get more clarification on that helps me. So I think going forward, once more people understand what the benefits of this project are, it's going to become a lot easier for us to make those referrals and convince people to use it.
I don't know if anybody has case examples. I have a couple
That'd be good, Sarah.
Sure. So one is someone who is just really being challenged in finding unemployment benefits. I have heard anecdotally that a lot of people still have not received their unemployment benefits because of identity theft. Basically, somebody else has applied for them in their name. So this person is waiting on unemployment benefits, but as the courts reopened, his failure to pay rent case comes through. So he is not getting unemployment benefits, but the eviction is potentially moving forward. That challenge, even though I didn't anticipate helping somebody with that, his challenge was he was having trouble keeping track of when he was calling and who he talked to and what they told him. And I set up his passport, and he really got the utility of it for that purpose, and the organization concept. And I have to get organized. So I know that Joseph spoke with that person, and he had good feedback. Another situation I had was someone who had been illegally evicted and was not being able to find legal help. She, in an attempt to find legal assistance, kind of drawn together a list of people that she had spoken with over time and kept emailing them documents as the documents came in. So we were one such organization. She had about 50 pages of documents, and she actually said, I am so tired of telling my story over and over again. So that's someone we set up a passport for. Whether she logged in, I don't know, but she does have an account with about 52 pages of documents organized in one spot. And I took some time and got them organized by date. I did a case summary for her. And then I did specific questions of make sure you ask whoever you're calling X, Y, and Z. Again, I don't know if she logged in. I don't think she did. But at least if she comes back around, she's got all of that information in one spot. So those are the two examples I can think of.
Yeah, and that'll be helpful for us. And then when people are allowed back into the courthouse and we have the self-help centers open in person, I think we'll be able to see people who are using it, who are able to return, and it'll make a lot more sense for us too.
One thing we talked about, Terry, on our team meeting the other day was doing case examples, just to kind of a trigger in your mind, examples of cases that might come across your desk that would be good for a passport. I'm thinking that when I was at the self-help centers, kind of trying to insert a new practice into a very hectic situation would be really challenging. Like, oh, and now I have to interact my spiel again to set up something new. So one thing we've talked about that might be helpful, you tell me, is doing kind of little case snippets of situations where it might be helpful.
Yeah, that would absolutely be helpful. You know, we see so many people and it's, you know, different issues each time. And if there was one case like illegal evictions that were really good for passports, because they're going to be continuing litigation about that if they are missing things and whatnot, that would be a good example. So yeah, if you have specific ones that are you think would be good for passports, you know, let us know, because you're right. We often need that trigger to say, okay, now I should do this. You know, there's so many things going on in a consult and you don't have a lot of time. So anything that would be, let us know or remind us to sign these people up, that would be very helpful.
Okay.
I feel like landlord tenant's a natural fit too, because often people come to court or the help center and the stuff that you need as an attorney to advise them, they don't have with them, like their lease agreement. I can't tell you how many people I'd be like, well, I'd love to help you right now, but you got to go get your lease. And it's like, oh God, you know? So if they just had the passport with them and they, you know, somebody had taken the time to upload their lease agreement, whether it was them or a different provider, that would just save so much time. Or I have a couple cases that I remember where litigants had receipts and then they show up for trial and they forgot them, they lost them, and it's like crushing. You can't even prove that you paid. This is terrible. So things like that to me are, you know, this is an ideal situation to set up a passport.
Can you view documents in the app?
You can, and I can show you an example of that here.
And we haven't forgotten you, Sarah, about uploading.
Yeah, let's do that. That's a good segue. Let's make sure we answer that
Do
question.
you mind if I add something real quick while you're getting ready to do that? Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. I have that question about how to upload documents, but also just wanted to add something here, which is in terms of case type, I think that's a really good discussion to have, but I also really see a value, and it's been mentioned, for anyone who's going to get referred for any case type with their proof of income documents for all of the providers who get MLSC funding especially, or have other income limits on who they can help. Because I know in our program, we've really tried to speed up the process of verifying people's income, but it always takes a lot of time. And I know, you know, we want to speed it along, the client wants to speed it along, so having those documents would be really great.
Thank you.
That could go on the to-do list too, right? They meet with somebody at the help center. I'm going to refer you to this organization, whatever. It could be 5 organizations. They're going to need to know about your income. So, you know, in the meantime, collect your stuff, upload it to your passport, and then when you get there or when you connect with them, whether it's remotely or in person, everything that they need is there, at least some kind of a start.
Yeah, that as a social worker, that income, you're so right. The income, the lease, having that electronic and something they can easily pull up. Legal's just the tip of the iceberg of what they need that for. They could use that everywhere.
We've seen it and we're having these conversations with consumer credit counseling service in a foreclosure realm, especially. They've got housing counselors who have been working with clients. They've compiled a lot of useful data and information that the attorneys are going to want to see: a credit report, a loss mitigation package, all communications between the servicers, all of those things. And that's all something that they could, even being non-attorney, the counselors could easily put in that case summary, attach those documents, or show the client easily how to attach those documents. And then bam, when they go to legal services, they've got it all ready to go.
Okay, I can show a few things here. Okay. All right. Do you see ID 43 example for training? Yeah. Okay. So I think there was a question around, can they see the document? So this is an example passport with a court form. So they could say, I want to look at that file. And then it shows it within the page so that you don't have to download it. See that here. And then you can also download as well. And then if you want to add a file, you can upload files. And you can pick it from your computer, or if you want to, there's a mobile app that comes with this. And so you can use the mobile app and just choose from your photo roll, or you can take a picture with when you have that app open. And you can also do the same thing on the mobile device if you just use the website. So you can do it very easily on all the typical technologies. Does that answer the questions about that, how to add a document?
Can you, if you take a photo, can you share it right from your photo?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
And are you going to have supporting material for clients? For example, if they need a quick video on how to upload a document, or a quick.
We need to do that. We will.
That would be great.
Yeah. And similarly, Joseph, I was just wondering if you have any feedback from clients yet who've tried to upload documents with the app themselves, and how that's been going.
Yeah, we've had clients use it, but I don't think I've had anyone on a call that said anything about it. So I can ask that specifically on some of my next calls.
It seems really great for that option to exist during this time when it's so hard to get into the self-help center and other places.
Sarah, are you thinking along the lines of ease of use, things like that, making sure that it's usable?
Yeah, and just I was thinking at first, I remember when we had some of these early meetings, just trying to picture how it might work. It sounded like there was a bit of a focus on going into the partner organization and having that in-person interaction and throwing your documents at them, and then they can kind of scan them in. And I wasn't sure if it was just going to be that must be the way, or that's only one way. And now we have these other ways in addition. And I know for our program, we will eventually need to request the paper document, but the way that our program works, we have a whole process around this. And so, where we might ask someone, well, those documents are so important for us to see, we need to wait on your case until we have them. With some of these now, we might be able to look at a picture of the document, process it, and then, okay, we'll process your case, let's get moving, and then wait for the original just right before the end of the process of placing the case with the volunteer. So I'm just trying to think through these options for how to speed up our process. And I think that this would work from what I can tell. So it's a great option.
Yeah, or the reality that we're facing too, we're definitely still meeting with a lot of people, but it's all remote right now. So we're not meeting in person. That would probably be what you just described would be how it would work for us in a normal situation of meet, scan, it's in there. But right now it's going to have to be something, God help them, I can describe over the phones.
I mean, taking a picture of a document,
easy.
taking a picture is great. I mean, and again, there's issues there too. Not everybody has mobile phone and can have, do that. But I like the idea of having multiple options. We're not just relying on the in-person interaction, which hopefully one day we'll get back to. But, in the meantime, this will work, and it might push us into areas that we didn't think we had to go quite this soon. So I think it's a good thing.
We are working up some graphics. We have a lot of text about what the passport is, but we're working up some graphics so that, because it's hard to visualize a new technology, for me anyway. I do much better with pictures. So we are working up some graphics as to how the passport could be used. Joseph is working up graphics. I think we established I am not.
Okay, have we answered all the questions we've had so far? Any outstanding? Not that there'll be time for more at the end too. I'll make sure we covered those. Okay, so let's go back to just a few more things to share. So let's go here. Okay, am I sharing my presentation here, hopefully? All right, thank you, Lonnie. All right, something we're working on here, and we talked about, so the situation in which someone already has a passport and comes to your organization. Now today, you can ask them, okay, what does it say in your passport for your case summary? Or what is it, what tasks were you given? Or, someday when we're in person again, they could just show you their phone, or there are a lot of options. But we also want to provide an option where a legal service agency can actually see what's in the passport for their own eyes, and especially in the cases in which they're providing remote services. So we had to set up a technology in which the access could be automatically turned off after a period of time, so that that legal services agency or self-help center doesn't have ongoing access. So the way we're doing this is that each legal services staff person that is participating in the program will get a 4-digit code. And so let's say they're on the phone with the litigant, they will say enter digit 2526. Okay, they will enter that in, and then the attorney will then have access to the passport for 2 hours. And then it'll automatically, if they refresh their screen, they will lose that access. So, and I can go over graphically or visually how this looks. So litigant selects share passport, they enter a code. So in the actual application, look like this. They'll enter a number. That access timer starts. The attorney can go in and see things and also add notes, tasks, and so forth to it. And then that access is automatically removed after 2 hours. Any questions about that?
I do.
Yeah.
Is every provider here, is it all going to be, sorry if this sounds ridiculously fundamental, like I've missed something, but is everything going to be brief advice with this, a series of brief advice? If there is going to be a longer term attorney relationship at some point between an attorney and a client, I'm wondering if there's any downside to permitting a longer than, like an ongoing, longer than 2 hours, and like just indefinite shared access, so that the person, say in the rent court, rent escrow case or whatever, can go home, take their pictures, and like everything they upload to this thing is available to their attorney on an ongoing basis. I would think that could be really helpful to the attorney.
Yeah, that makes sense. We haven't talked much about that. What do people think?
I mean, I think one of the things that we were thinking from this in the first place is to facilitate more representation, more full representation. Can documents be exported out of the app? So say in Dave's example, they go to the help center, they file a NOID, it's a consumer case, they really need representation. They go to the Consumer Protection Project and a PBRC volunteer picks it up and they're going to represent this person at trial. Can they then, that attorney, go into the passport, of course, with permission, and then download those documents?
Yes.
And then they could just save it in whatever their case however they take it from there. Each organization has their own case management system, and however you guys deal with electronic documents now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was just thinking, because if you I mean, if you force the 2-hour increment, then you're going to go home, collect your information, and you're going to have to remember what the person's code was, or have some unlikely further successful communication interim. But I could also see the great value of having a 2-hour or very short window option where, if it's just like, I got referred here, I'm coming here, I just want you to quickly take a look and see if I do in fact qualify for you or something. And then also, interestingly, if doing that, if giving someone access ought to auto revoke any previous lawyer access for any reason, or I don't know, whatever. But that was all. Just the idea of having an option to allow, if the client so chooses, to have an extended permission with an attorney.
Yeah, another thing about that, because this idea was initially conceived with the self-help centers, was that they didn't want the litigant to have their email address. So today, what you're describing, Dave, that functionality already exists. You could just, for example, I could add Sarah to my passport. Now, they would know the email address essentially because that's that person. So then we said, okay, well, let's do a code and make it limited, because this was so like help center focused. So,
and we wanted to make sure we weren't giving the user any implied representation. We didn't want them to think that, oh, since they talked to Terry at the self-help center, oh, Terry's my attorney. So we know, even though we explain that in many different circumstances, in many different ways, that people still only hear what they want to hear. So we wanted to try to protect that, as well as if they come back to the self-help centers, because that happens, they need to speak to whoever is available, not necessarily the person they spoke with previously.
Yeah, it sounds like keeping both tracks completely available makes a lot of sense, because obviously by the time someone's performing some kind of extended representation, you probably want to encourage communication and don't mind sharing an email address.
Yeah, if they don't mind sharing the email address with the litigant, then that's available currently.
The one thing that, although this initial rollout is focused on referrals from the court help centers, it could eventually be a multi-point, system where it's multiple entities making referrals, multiple entities receiving them. And so it's not just, and as Lonnie said, we did envision that it would facilitate broader representation or enable the organization to do whatever it does, not limit it. We don't want this project to limit it. I'd also just caution that we don't want, I don't envision the project becoming a case management system or a client management system. I think law firms and providers, if they have them, have those already. The focus really is, and it's really, and I love the design, because the design is litigant focused. It's focused on, it follows the person, and they're the only one who empowers anybody to see this data. And I love that aspect of it. But if we make it a case management or client management system, then the attorney can upload and you're using it to communicate with the client. And that changes who the ultimate, who it's designed for, I think.
I agree. Okay, a few things to wrap up. Reminders, so you can go on to the website there, mdjusticepassport.org. You can sign up for the newsletter. We usually send a newsletter once per month. And then feel free to reach out. This tool can be used in a number of different ways, as we've discussed today. So feel free to reach out and we can set up a call to discuss your use case and how your organization may be able to use it. And with that, we have 1 minute for Q&A. Who has our first question? Rebecca, you've been quiet.
I have been very quiet. I actually thought about one question, and I know that the entire purpose of the passport is for it to be accessible online. But I know that in the earlier stages, there was some conversation of creating something that folks could carry around with them. I know that a lot of folks that we serve at DRM are pretty attached to their binders that they carry around with them. So I don't know if there's any update on something physical that folks can carry around with them?
Yeah, we haven't focused on that because of the pandemic. Carrie, Sarah, any thoughts on the physical version?
Well, we've been in touch with Joanna Shapiro in Frederick, who has the purple notebook. We have another call out to her and are working on setting up a meeting. I mean, that really gives a lot of framework that already exists, maybe to a physical notebook, although that's really a case management tool. But I think it's already got a lot of framework. Joanna reached out recently to have another conversation, and so we're working on setting that up. But it might be helpful to have another conversation about what the specific needs of your client base are, of your community are. So I can definitely get in touch if you'd like to have another call and we can think through what needs.
Sure. Love that. Thank you.
And as I was thinking about the notebook earlier, actually, I was wondering if in the document library that's part of the passport, whether documents could be grouped or categorized. These are financial information. These are financial documents or financial qualification documents. This is potential evidence. These are my notes. Because the notebook will lend itself to that.
Yes, that is possible. Joseph is frozen.
I am.
Yeah, and Dave's reminding us that that Midshore uses the green notebook for its guardianship, right, Sandy? Is that what green notebooks are for?
Yes, we have green. We are using notebooks even in the pandemic. We've kind of scaled back the actual physical binder because mailing them was a little expensive. So there are parts of that note. We've been working with the notebook for so long that we've kind of scaled back certain pieces that we know are really critical to the specific client. So we peel out certain things. We can mail them. We have a Dropbox in our office. We can exchange, documents through that. We have a picnic table out in our courtyard where we have clients out there when needed. But a lot of the notebook the consultation part is really the key, and the follow-up consultations that the client gets. So this kind of quasi-limited scope, Pam. You know how it works, and so it's working really well for us. I think the green notebook binder is a little more important than the actual purple notebook binder because of the paperwork heavy involvement of guardianship.
I checked in the passport. I don't see a way to add groupings or categories yet, but that could be another potential customization.
Folders could be an option too. I mean, I guess that would depend on the litigant or provider helping them organize, but I don't know if that's an easy fix.
I was thinking there was a folder option.
There may be.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Yeah, because I don't want to go through 50 pages of documents if I could go through 4 pages of my financial documents and put those in one folder.
I put a question in the chat, but could you want to say a little bit something before we wrap up about what the plans are for eventually broadening the range of partners beyond who you're already talking to?
Yeah, so kind of the situation with the Consumer Protection Project, like Lonnie said, stars aligned. I think in Baltimore City, we need to be having, let me back up. So how we've started was partners expressing interest, and we are growing that with, for instance, consumer credit counseling, and then also growing it with Lonnie's idea regarding the Consumer Protection Project. As far as formal plans to bring on more partners down the road, I don't know that we have a formal plan because we've been growing this really organically. But I don't know, Joseph, do you have thoughts? Pam, do you have thoughts?
Well, at some point, as long as if the court help centers start by pushing out, making the referrals to a broader range of folks, it would be really great because they are serving people all over the state. And so it would be great if they didn't have, if they could be making referrals to folks in other regions as well. So I think that would ultimately be really optimal. And then if partners got comfortable with using it, if they were making referrals and found the need for it, of course that could happen as well.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
One thing, so just on the technology side real quick. So talking about the categories and groups. So yes, you can create a folder and then put all of the documents in that folder. So there's not a way to necessarily do headings, but you could just make 3 folders or something and then put the documents in those folders.
That makes sense. Yep.
Okay.
So what we have been saying is if you're interested in, we have Sandy from Midshore. If you're interested in using the passport, setting up referrals, just let us know. We've got a good number of partners right now, but yeah, as Pam said, we need to get this across the whole state. Rebecca, if Disability Rights wants to come on board, I know you were having conversations with your AD. We're happy to do that as well. So Dave, we're starting to use this with Consumer Protection Project, but totally open to all other types of cases. So, and I think that one of the key partners we need to engage is Maryland Legal Aid. They're the biggest. So we certainly need to have conversations with them as well. But if MCLA wants to, or if the Maryland Courts Help Centers want to start referring to a broader geographic region, we just need to sit down and go through organizations, things like that. We are ready.
We can probably look at some of the data too and just see. Sorry, Emily, I cut you off.
I was just going to say, we're already making the referrals. We're happy to use the passport wherever, there's partners ready to receive referrals. That
and
way.
if we're getting feedback from Emily, from you and your attorneys, that if there's a resource we don't have in there, of course, let us know. So then we can absolutely reach out if there's someone we missed or then we can really try to, go to that other organization and be like, hey, this is what we've got.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Thanks. It was looking great. I'm really excited about it.
Me too. Nice work.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining. We really appreciate your input.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy holidays to all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.